Deep in the Indus River Valley, there's a ghost, a ruin of a massive city that just vanished thousands of years ago. And here's the crazy part. It's a city that was, in some ways, way more advanced than our world is today. So, let's explore the incredible mystery of Mohenjo Daro.
I mean, really think about that for a second. While the pharaohs in Egypt were busy building these giant monuments, this civilization halfway across the world was building two-story houses with their own bathrooms, public swimming pools, and get this, a city-wide sewage system. A system that's honestly better than in a lot of places right now. How on earth was that possible 5,000 years ago?
Well, to even start to get an answer, we have to go back to the beginning. Not to when it was built, but to when it was found again. Because the story of how this place was rediscovered is almost as unbelievable as the city itself.
Okay, so picture this. It's 1922. An Indian archaeologist named R.D. Banerjee is out in the wild, hunting. He's chasing this deer, it disappears, and he stops for a break. As he sits down, his foot hits something sharp. He digs it out, and it's not a rock. It's a 4,500-year-old flint scraper, a tool from the Bronze Age. What in the world is that doing out here in the middle of nowhere?
So Banerjee's curiosity is fired up. Then he sees a local guy digging perfectly shaped, ancient bricks out of a strange mound to load onto his cart. Banerjee just knows he's standing on something massive. He starts a small excavation, and he finds these really unique seals. He sends them off to his boss, Sir John Marshall. And Marshall? He's floored. Why? Because he's seen those exact same seals before. They were found 2 years earlier, almost 600 kilometers away at a place called Harappa. And that was it. That was the proof. This wasn't just one lost city. It was an entire forgotten civilization.
And wow, what a civilization it was. As archaeologists started uncovering Mohenjo Daro, they realized they weren't just digging up old ruins. Nope. They were uncovering a masterclass in city planning that completely shattered everything they thought they knew about the ancient world.
The first thing that just blows you away is the order, the sheer logic of it all. Most ancient cities are a chaotic mess of winding streets that just kind of grew over time. Not Mohenjo Daro. It was built on a perfect grid. The main streets ran exactly north to south, and the side streets crossed them at perfect 90-degree angles. This city didn't just happen. This city was planned, meticulously.
And then there's the famous Great Bath. We're talking about a structure that could hold 2,100 liters of water. To give you an idea, that's like 30 of those big water tanks you see on rooftops. It was this huge public pool, which led to a pretty big question for the archaeologists. How did they stop it from leaking for 5,000 years?
Well, the answer is just pure engineering genius. They used this brilliant three-layer system. First, they laid down perfectly fitted baked bricks. Then, they plastered the whole thing with gypsum mortar. And finally, this is the key, they sealed it with a layer of natural bitumen, which is basically tar. It created a waterproof seal so perfect that it still holds water today.
But their obsession with water management went way beyond pools. This was a city totally built around public health. Every single house, I mean every single one, was hooked up to a citywide drainage system. The sewers were covered, and they even had manholes for cleaning. They lined the drains with limestone to keep them from smelling. The whole city was built up on platforms to stop floods. And just in the tiny 10% of the city we've actually dug up, we found over 700 wells. This was a level of sanitation that just crushed what was happening in Egypt or Mesopotamia at the time.
Okay, so these people were brilliant engineers. But who were they? What was life actually like here? Well, the stuff they left behind gives us this amazing peek into their world. A world of incredible art, clever technology, and believe it or not, international trade.
So, we've got famous things like the Priest King, this small, detailed statue that gives us clues about their leaders. Or the Dancing Girl, a little bronze statue that shows they were masters with metal. But honestly, it's the everyday things that are the most incredible. Simple clay cones? Turns out they were sundials. And maybe the biggest deal of all, every single brick across their entire civilization was made to the exact same size. That level of organization is just mind-boggling.
And if you want to talk about organization, check out their system of weights. Archaeologists have found thousands of these little stone cubes, and they're not random. They're part of an incredibly precise, standardized system. The smallest unit is 0.856 grams, and their most common weight, 13.7 grams, which is exactly 16 of the small ones. This system was used everywhere, across a civilization that stretched over 1,600 kilometers. This was all about fair trade.
And that trade is so important. Because this wasn't some isolated culture hidden away from the world. No way. They were major players on the global stage. How do we know? Well, because other ancient superpowers were writing about them.
Cuneiform tablets found in Mesopotamia, that's modern-day Iraq, talk all about a rich, distant land they traded with, a land they called Maluha.
And they even left us a shopping list. These ancient Mesopotamian tablets, from the great king Sargon of Akkad, list all the luxury goods they were importing from Maluha. Things like special timber, beautiful gemstones, and ivory. And guess what? All of those things are found right in the Indus Valley. This was the smoking gun. Proof of a massive international trade network connecting all the great ancient empires.
So, we know how they built, we know how they traded, but there are some huge, fundamental things about them that are still a complete and total mystery. Now we get to the questions that still keep archaeologists up at night.
Look at this. This is the Indus script. They left behind thousands of examples of their writing on little seals and tablets. We figured out there are 419 unique symbols, but we cannot read a single word of it. It's totally undeciphered. We can see their writing, but we can't hear their voices, their stories, their history, their names. It's all locked away behind a code we just haven't been able to crack.
All right, I want you to remember this number. At its peak, Mohenjo Daro was home to at least 50,000 people, a huge, thriving city, buzzing with life, one of the biggest in the whole world at the time. Now here's another number. This is how many skeletons have been found in the entire city so far. 37.
See the problem? A city of 50,000 people does not just vanish into thin air. If there was a war or a plague or a natural disaster, you'd find bodies, thousands of them. But there are practically none. It's like the city wasn't suddenly destroyed. It was abandoned. Everyone just packed up and left. But why? And where did they all go?
Now, there are a few leading theories. Maybe climate change shifted the course of the powerful Indus River, causing either massive floods or terrible droughts that wiped out their farms. Or maybe they just moved, a slow migration over generations, gradually spreading out and blending in with other cultures in the area. Whatever happened, it seems to have been a slow fade-out, not a sudden catastrophe.
But here's a thought. What if we're asking the wrong question? What if they didn't really disappear at all? Maybe, if you look in the right places, you can still find their legacy. Maybe they left behind a city of echoes, echoes that you can still hear today.
Okay, check this out. Look at the three-leaf pattern on the shawl worn by that priest-king statue. Now, look at the pattern on a modern piece of ajrak, a traditional fabric that's still made in that same region of Pakistan today. The design, the craft, it's a direct echo across 5,000 years.
And it's not a one-off thing. The geometric patterns on their ancient pottery, you can see those same designs alive and well in the Hala handicrafts, a style of pottery that's still famous in the very same area. Their culture didn't die, it just changed, it evolved, and its threads are still woven into the life of the people there today. And this, for me, is the most exciting thought of all. Everything we know, everything that has blown our minds about this place, comes from just 10% of the city. 90% of Mohenjo Daro is still buried under the ground. So what else is down there? What other engineering marvels, what other art, what other clues about their language and why they left are just waiting? The story of Mohenjo Daro is definitely not over. We might have only just